Well, guys, it is now time for my Week 5 picks of the 2023 NFL season, as last week I went 10-6, which is unfortunate, a downgrade compared to last week, but hey, still hanging there, almost 2/3% gotten correctly. And of course, here is the playoff stands and the regular season stands at the season end of the day. In the AFC, it's the Chiefs with the bye, with Texans at Ravens, Steelers at Bills, and Dolphins at Colts. And in the NFC, it's the Eagles with the bye, with Falcons at 49ers, Cowboys at Buccaneers, and Seahawks at Lions. And my Super Bowl prediction right now is the Bills over the 49ers. Alright, no, the Bills over the Eagles. So, let's get to my predictions. Starting off with Week 5, the first night game tonight, as just like last year, which almost was around this time too, as the Bears are at the Commanders for the first time since 2019. The Commanders won the last one, the Bears haven't beaten them since 2019, and the Commanders haven't won at home against them since 2013, as the Bears try to avoid 0-5 for the first time since 1997. So, the Bears. You finally had an offense going. Fields had the best game of his career. You had a 28-7 lead, and you choked it against the Broncos, and you lost. 28-7 to lose 31-28, completely embarrassing, wasting a good performance for Fields, and who knows, that might be the last good game we might see from him the way he's been playing right now. The Bears have been just so horrendously bad. Meanwhile, the Commanders, after getting destroyed by the Bills, they actually put up a good effort against the Eagles, just like they did last year's Monday night game, forcing overtime, but they just couldn't pull it off in the end. So anyways, this pick, of course, remember the Commanders beat the Bears last year on Thursday night in a defensive struggle. The Commanders right now are at least an average team. The Bears are one of the worst teams in the league, so I'm going to pick the Commanders for this one. Then we get to our next London game, as this is the first time ever the Jaguars play back-to-back London games, as it's going to be the Jaguars at the Bills for the first time since 2018, as the Jaguars won the last one. The Bills haven't beaten them since 2018, and the Jaguars haven't won in Buffalo, or in this case, London, since 2010. And of course, this is the second time, too, they're playing in London, too. The Bills visited the Jaguars in 2015. So, of course, the Jaguars last week in London destroyed the Falcons to get back at 500, so they salvaged their season. Meanwhile, the Bills completely obliterated the Dolphins offensively and defensively. As they're showing right now, they're the best team in the AFC, as they're like in top 10 in almost every single category except their run defense. So yeah, this actually I think could still be an interesting game. Because remember 2 years ago when the Jaguars humiliated the Bills when they won 9-6, when no one expected that to happen. I think they could still possibly pull that off. And if I remember correctly, the last 3 games between these two have been very close. Even the London game too, now I remember, I think that was close. So yeah, anything could happen, but I'm still going to pick the Bills for this one. Alright, then we get to the 1 p.m. games. Starting off with a very interesting one, as it's the Texans at the Falcons for the first time since 2015. The Texans won the last one. The Falcons haven't beaten them since 2015, and the Texans have never won in Atlanta. So the Texans humiliated and destroyed the Steelers, as right now Stroud definitely is looking like the best QB of the rookies now, after 3 straight great games, as destroyed them 30-6. Unbelievable. I wasn't expecting that, as they've won now 2 in a row, and they've looked... Now, also, they're starting to look like the best team in the AFC or South right now with the way they've been playing. Meanwhile, the Falcons got destroyed by the Jaguars, showing that 2-0 start really didn't mean much as I expected, as this will be a very interesting game. The Falcons have a very good defense, but the Texans have been destroying teams lately. And you know what? I'm going to pick the Texans for this one. And then it's the Panthers at the Lions for the first time since 2018. As the Panthers won the last 2, the Lions haven't beaten them since 2018, and the Panthers haven't won in Detroit since 2017. So anyways, the Panthers are trying to avoid 0-5 for the first time since 2010, as they lost a close one to the Vikings. Unfortunate for them, as once again, Young still has yet to look good. I don't remember his stats off the top of my head, but I don't think he was as good as Richardson or Stroud has been so far this year. He's been very disappointing, as they lost a close one. The Lions, meanwhile, they won, honestly, I think more defensively and rushing attack against the Packers. They pretty much destroyed them. They had a 27-3 lead at one point, I think, as they are clearly in position to win the NFC North, and I'm going to pick the Lions for this one. If it would just pace, there we go. Alright, then the battle for the AFC South, as it's the Titans at the Colts. The Titans won the last 5. The Colts haven't beaten them since 2020, and they haven't won at home since 2018. As the Titans humiliated and destroyed the Bengals to get revenge from the last 2 years. Meanwhile, the Colts, hard-fought game, they are getting their asses kicked by the Rams. Then they pulled off a massive comeback, but they just couldn't pull it off in overtime. As Richardson is also playing very good, and now they're going to have Jonathan Taylor back this week, so they'll have hopefully their elite running back to hopefully help them out as well. This will be very interesting. The Colts, I think, are better, but the Titans always find some way not only to win, but they're 5-0 against the Colts right now. They always find a way to beat them, so this will be very interesting. But this time around, I think I might trust the Colts to finally get and hold that lead into the AFC South. Then it's the Giants at the Dolphins for the first time since 2021. As the Dolphins won the last one, the Giants haven't beaten them since 2019, and they haven't won in Miami since 2015. So the Giants got obliterated by the Seahawks, which kind of sucked for Jones. He got sacked like 10 times. He threw 2 picks and a pick 6. He had a good completion percentage and a good bunch of yards too. So that sucks. Almost a good performance wasted on those 2 throws and him getting obliterated. Meanwhile, the Dolphins, well, I did predict they were going to lose to the Bills, and boy, did they. No close game this time around. They got just shredded. Although their offense is still up there as one of the best since they had that extra game basically against the Broncos. So, yeah, this should be obvious, the Dolphins. Oh, man, I feel bad for the Giants having to have 2 road games against 2 of the elite teams in the AFC. All right, then it's the Saints at the Patriots for the first time since 2021. The Saints won the last one. The Patriots haven't beaten them since 2017, and they haven't won at home since 2013. As the Saints, with their offense being horrendous, have now lost 2 in a row. They got obliterated by the Buccaneers. Meanwhile, the Patriots got obliterated by the Cowboys. And, oh boy, who do you trust more in this one? This could be an ugly game, as both teams are really bad in terms of all the stats. Even the Saints' defense has now been playing terrible. Think I might trust the Patriots more in this one, though. And then it's the Ravens at the Steelers with the AFC North on the line. As the Steelers won the last one, the Ravens haven't beaten them since 2022, and the Steelers haven't won at home since 2021. So the Ravens got a huge victory over the Browns as Lamar Jackson finally starting to look good again, almost like how he started off last year those first 3 games. Meanwhile, the Steelers had an ugly, ugly loss to the Texans. Oh my goodness. Unbelievable. 30-6, and Kitten Mittens might not even be playing this week since he got injured. Up in the air in that regard. But as impressive as the Ravens have played, I still don't know if I fully trust them against the Steelers. The Steelers always play the Ravens very tough in this rivalry and still win even when the Ravens were probably better. So this might be possibly an upset and bold pick, but I still think I'm going to pick the Steelers for this one because I don't know if I fully trust the Ravens yet still. Alright, then we get to the 4 p.m. games. Starting off with the Bengals at the Cardinals for the first time since 2015. As the Cardinals won the last 2, the Bengals haven't beaten them since 2011, and they've never won on the road against the Cardinals. As the Bengals, they have one of the worst offenses in the league, as they got destroyed by the Titans, as nothing's looking right for them. Meanwhile, the Cardinals also got destroyed by the 49ers, but hey, at least they put up an effort unlike the Bengals. So yeah, this is actually a tough one. The Bengals on paper supposed to be better than the Cardinals, yet the Cardinals have been much more competitive in all their games. Could have been 3-1 right now too if everything went right for them. This is a tough one. But the Cardinals are supposed to go up against another good team supposedly in the Bengals. This could potentially be maybe a bold pick, but I still think I might pick the Bengals for this one. Just barely. Maybe if the Cardinals played better against the 49ers, maybe I would have picked them. Alright, then it's the Eagles at the Rams for the first time since 2018. As the Rams won the last one, the Eagles haven't beaten them since that 2018 game, and the Rams haven't won at home against them since 2005. As the Eagles try to go 5-0 for the second year in a row. So the Eagles still are not looking necessarily the best like they were last year, but Hurts actually played very good in this game as they beat the Commanders to stay undefeated. Meanwhile, the Rams, they were destroying the Colts at first, then they got humiliated by letting them make the comeback, but in the end they finally got the win to finally end their 2-game losing streak. Should have been maybe 4-0, but they're 2-2. This will be very interesting. On paper, the Rams look better almost in all the categories compared to the Eagles. Yet, we all know the Eagles are still the better team despite they're not as impressive start to the year like they did last year. So I'm still going to pick the Eagles for this one. And then it's the Jets at the Broncos for like the third year in a row. As the Jets won the last one, the Broncos haven't beaten them since 2021. The Jets, oh my God, Zach Wilson outplayed Mahomes and played better than him, even though he struggled near the end, as the Jets lost a close one, 23-20, after they were down 17-0 the first quarter. As they're still not necessarily looking the best, but they're still somewhat being competitive. If Aaron Rodgers was there, they could have been 3-1 right now if you think about it, how close they are. The Broncos, meanwhile, after getting destroyed by the Dolphins, they were getting destroyed by the Bears, 28-7, like, oh boy, it looks like the Broncos are going to be done for. But nope, they came back as Russell Wilson played very good. And thanks to the Bears choking, the Broncos finally got their first win of the year, as finally getting that taste of 70-20 out for the moment. And now they're going to have to face the Jets. This will be very interesting because the Jets defense shut down Russell Wilson, because the Broncos offense right now is the main thing that's saving them, unlike the defense last year. The Broncos have completely flipped. And I think I might trust the Broncos more in this one, so I'm going to pick them. And then it's the Chiefs at the Vikings for the first time since 2015, as the Chiefs won the last one. The Vikings haven't beaten them since 2015, and the Chiefs haven't won in Minneapolis since 1996. So the Chiefs, Mahomes played terrible against the Jets, but in the end, they still won, as they're not playing good like they did last year, as they're kind of struggling, honestly. Maybe only their defense saving them. Meanwhile, the Vikings finally got a win, but once again, another close one to the Panthers. But hey, it's still a win nonetheless, and now they got to face the defending champions. Don't really trust the Vikings at all this one, so I'm going to pick the Chiefs. And then it's Sunday night, the divisional round matchup that everyone I feel is overhyping, as the Cowboys are at the 49ers for the first time since 2017, as the Cowboys won the last three. The 49ers haven't beaten them since 2014, and they haven't won at home against the Cowboys since 1997, as the 49ers try to go 5-0 for the first time since 2019. So the Cowboys, with their elite defense, destroyed the Patriots, as they're looking very good. Meanwhile, the 49ers, they didn't play as good as I thought they would. Or McCaffrey, of course. McCaffrey played very good, but the rest of the team, I feel, didn't really play as good as they could have against the Cardinals. But in the end, they still won, as they're still 4-0. This will be very interesting to see in the close games they have, but I trust the 49ers still more in this one, so I'm going to pick them. And then it's Monday night, game that shouldn't have even been up there in the first place, as it's the Packers at the Raiders for the first time since 2015, as the Packers won the last 8. The Raiders haven't beaten the Packers since 1987, and they haven't won at home since 1984, as the Packers lost to the Lions and a spanking. I did not expect that to happen. I thought they were going to put up an effort, as Love has not played good at all these last 2 weeks. Not looking good right now. Meanwhile, the Raiders lost to the Chargers. They got destroyed. Then they made the comeback, but wasn't enough for them, as they have like one of the worst offense in the league. Even their rushing offense with Josh Jacobs has been horrible. They have the worst rushing offense in the league. Ugh. Not looking good for them. And of course, Jimmy G didn't play. I have no idea if he's going to play, but I don't think it really is going to matter, because I'm going to still see the Packers keep the streak going for another 4 years. So I'm picking the Packers for that. So those are my picks for week 5. I cannot wait for Bears at Commanders tonight. So my picks up to wrap it up: the Commanders over the Bears, the Bills over the Jaguars, the Falcons over the Texans over the Falcons, I mean to say, the Lions over the Panthers, Colts over the Titans, Dolphins over the Giants, Patriots over the Saints, the Steelers over the Ravens, the Bengals over the Cardinals, Eagles over the Rams, Broncos over the Jets, Chiefs over the Vikings, 49ers over the Cowboys, and Packers over the Raiders. Alright guys, so see you guys next time for my Week 6 picks.